Three. Welcome in. It is the episode number 8 of the Bleav in Patriots podcast. I'm your host, Brady Farkas. You can follow me on Twitter at FA Radio Brady. You can follow us at Bleav Podcast as well. I want to welcome in a guy who's a well-traveled veteran of football in all its forms in multiple different countries. It's Robert Ortiz. Robert, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you joining us. You're the host of the Bleav in San Diego State podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network. Played at San Diego State, then spent some time with the Chargers, with the Patriots twice, the Seahawks. You played in NFL Europe. I guess I want to start there. What was NFL Europe like? I watched games of it. I have football cards from it. What was NFL Europe like?
It was actually an experience that I'll never forget because at that point I had never left San Diego. I grew up in San Diego, and then I obviously went to San Diego State after that. So the only traveling I really did was games, and that's only like a couple of days, and then you're back to San Diego. So going out there, that was just traveling and being away from family and being away from my home base was an experience in itself. But then the actual game of football was actually great because you're playing against other NFL players. It wasn't like you were playing against some random guys.
Yeah.
We were all, majority of us, allocated or we're on a team or practice squad or something like that. So the talent level was up there. So I wish they never. That was the last season. 2007 was the last season they had NFL Europe. I know they weren't making quite that much money, but I think a lot of guys benefited from that type of play because, the NFL doesn't really have a developmental league. So I felt like that was a good asset.
I remember Danny Werfel, old Heisman Trophy winner at Florida, playing in NFL Europe. You played for Frankfurt. I think he was on the Rhine Fire, though.
Yeah, I actually had another teammate. I had a few teammates from San Diego State that were out there. I'm not too familiar with the player you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Are you sure he was there in 2007?
No, not then. He was there much earlier than that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I don't remember him being there. But yeah, I mean, it was just cool being able to travel to all the different countries. We went to Amsterdam, like you said, Ryan. Dusseldorf, Berlin, and then you got to do all the little, historical landmark things that you do when you're in those places. So, it was an experience I'll never forget.
What was fan engagement like? Were people into it over there? Did people understand what was going on? Was it growing the game in the European continent? What was that like?
To me, I can't speak for the other teams, but I know Frankfurt, our fans were probably the best fans. They not only knew what was going on in the game, knew when to make noise, and out there they can have the like horns and banging things, and so that was cool. Playing at Frankfurt and our fans actually being into the games, and we would get large crowds, and not only that, our fans would travel to our away games, and so our fans were usually louder than the home fans. So there's a reason why we're so successful.
Yeah. So you also, like I said, well-traveled, spent time with the Chargers, Patriots, Seahawks. You also played in Canada for a little bit as well. I guess it's probably too simple of a question, but what motivated you to keep going through all of these various spots?
Well, I would say as a young kid, I mean, your dreams. I used to be in the front yard with some of my buddies, and we're pretending to be. I'm from San Diego, so we would be Charger players. So I would be like Junior Seau, or back then it was like Anthony Miller was the receiver. So like to me, it was just a dream, lifelong dream, and then it became a goal. And then once you set it as a goal, you want to make sure you accomplish that goal. It's not something that you just think up and say, oh, I want to do this one day. It's actually something you worked for. Something you spent time, hours, blood, sweat, tears, not only in the gym, but in the film room. And, and you prepare your body year round. Like these guys never have days off. So to me, like giving it a good quality attempt or go at it wasn't something that needed to be like I have to be driven to get there. No, it was already instilled. I was putting in the work. So it's like you came this far. Why
Yeah.
stop now?
I recently lost my job at the radio station as a result of the coronavirus, and so, but I'm thinking to myself, it's been 1 month almost since I've been unemployed in quotes, and I'm like, damn, this has been hard, but athletes deal with this all the time, like cut, traded, practice squad, demoted, moved up and down, jerked all over the place, other continents. Like, how do athletes deal with this? Because the real life person is having a hard time dealing with this.
Right. I mean, I don't, to be honest, a lot of positivity. Hopefully you got a good support system. Um, and hopefully you're not just focused on one thing. For me, I had at the time I was working on a clothing brand with another actual actually NFL player, Marvio Underwood. He played for the Green Bay Packers and a couple other teams, but we were working on a clothing brand. I'm also like now I'm a full-time or I was a full-time
Yeah.
DJ until COVID hit. But I was full-time DJ. But back then I would do that on the side. So in between things, I also do commercial, and I'm out here in California, so doing movies and commercial work is kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say it's easy and it's expected, but I was able to get into that. So I kind of had stuff to keep me busy in between gigs,
Yeah.
or in the off season. So some guys, I mean, aren't so lucky. They don't have that to fall back on. They don't have those things. Shoot, I'm in the same boat as you right
Yeah.
now. But
you know,
with the whole COVID, everything is shut down. So my weddings, my corporate gigs, my club gigs, everything got shut down. So I'm still waiting for that to come back.
See, like, I love hearing that. I love hearing that you had all these, a bunch of balls in a bunch of different courts, and that's cool for you, and it diversifies you, the person. When people hear that, though, fans, I think we've been trained to think that guy does a bunch of other things. He doesn't love football. Like he's not all in on football. Was that ever something that you sensed, or you saw people who thought that way?
I didn't really get that from anybody
Yeah, good.
because they understood that the NFL, it doesn't stand for not for long for
Yeah.
no reason. But I think my effort and the time I put into it uh, outweighed any other extra stuff that I was doing on the side. So my workouts never lacked. I was always prepared. When I was with the Patriots, or not with the Patriots, I
Yeah.
should say, I got released and then they brought me back. And then I was able to just jump right in like I was never left, and so mentally I was always preparing to be back or to be there or to be at my best. And I guess it showed,
Yeah.
and I am where I am today because of it.
So you two different stints with the Pats prior to 08 and 09 you signed with them. One was in the summer, one was more leading up into the season, I Bleav. So if I'm got it correctly, one was more training camp and one was more practice squad during the season.
Yes.
So what's it like? What is life on the practice squad like?
Well, I mean, it depends on the person. For me, it was cool because um obviously you're part of the team. You're
Yep.
getting paid to play a game that kids play. And it's something you're with the New England Patriots. I mean, you got Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Tom Brady. Like, there's no like, and not only that, you don't have the pressure that
Yeah.
people are putting on you to go out there. Like, all you got to do is perform during the week, which you do anyways, and you go out and have a good time, and then you do what you try to make the guys that are going to be out there on Sunday better. So I looked at it as an opportunity to get myself better because I'm going against the ones. And then number two, I looked at it as an opportunity to help my team. So, I think mentality wise, if you have it in that way, then you enjoy it. You enjoy just going out there and playing football.
As a guy who's on the practice squad, what's your level of interaction with Tom Brady, with Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels. Are you around those guys, or are you off more on a side field? I'm not sure. I'm curious about this.
No, you're because okay, so practice squad is it's only what like 8 guys or something
Yeah.
like. So you still need some of the offensive guys that are on the active roster to
Yep.
make up a scout team. So yes, you're definitely with the other guys. I mean, I remember I remember being with standing next to Tom one time. It was during practice, and he's like, as we were going into the playoffs, and he was asking me, do you get the bonus or something if we or he was asking me something right about the pay, if it's the same as them, and I go, you know what? This is my first time. I have no idea, but it didn't really matter to me. I was there. I was there to help the team, and and I think Bill Belichick, he does a good job of getting guys like that.
Did you ever have to play the role of another team's superstar at practice, like mimicking their game?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if I was supposed to be mimicking their game, but yes, you get actually, what happens is they'll either pass out the jerseys or you'll have that jersey in your
Mm.
locker. You'll be like, "Oh shoot, I'm so and so," So yeah, you try to do what they can do, but some of them guys are just great athletes and great players, and you do your best.
That was the most fun I had in high school basketball. The one practice I got to mimic the other team's star, where they just said, "Hey, just go out and jack up threes from everywhere on the court today because that's what that guy does." That was the most fun I had.
Yeah. No, for real though, when you're doing scout team, it's actually a lot of fun because they take the mental part out of it because you're just looking at a card, and you okay, I got this route. There's no adjustments. There's no I got to read the defense. It's just I got to do what it says on the card, and and then go out there and make a play. So yeah, it's a lot more fun doing scout.
Is it hard though to balance everything you have to do? Because is there some form of learning the other team's playbook basically, then knowing your own playbook in case you get bumped up? I mean, you got to do both a little bit, right?
Yeah, but I mean, so they do a good job in training camp to give you the base,
Yep.
So essentially what the base is. Once you have that foundation, then it's just little tweaks and little adjustments here game to game. So yes, you got to keep up with the terminology and everything like that. But if you're going to be active for a game, I mean, I'd hope more than a day,
Yeah.
notice, and you'd be able to prepare.
When you were around the Pats 0809, so that was young Julian Edelman right around the time that he came out of college. What was young Julian Edelman like?
All right, so uh, Julian came in 2009, and honestly, what's funny is he was my roommate, and
Oh,
and this guy has just a relentless work ethic. Like he will not stop. It's funny because there will be times, I'm in my room and he's in his room and I'm doing whatever I'm doing. He come over and knock on my door and he's like, "Hey man, you want to move the furniture and do some walkthrough?" like I'm like, "Jules, man, I'm tired. I really don't want to do this right now." But that's the kind of player, and I think that's why he's so successful today. I wish I could go back and say, "Yeah, let's do it together," because maybe I would have benefited from that as well. But he definitely is an inspiration, especially now, doing the things that he's doing. And I'm so proud of him. I seen him last year. Like I said, I'm in the commercial industry doing, acting type stuff, but I also had an opportunity to coordinate a commercial. It was a Bose commercial. And it's funny because he was one of the athletes. I mean, we had Russell Wilson,
yeah.
Jared Goff, Christian McCaffrey, and then Jules. And then he he walks up and he didn't know I was going to be there. And I did, to be honest, it had been 10 years. So I'm like, he probably doesn't even remember. And sure enough, he was like, "Oh my gosh." And he straight up stopped production for like 5-10 minutes. And then finally the director's like, "Hey, we need to get this thing this show on the road." And like, all right. But it was cool. It was cool to see him again. And I'm so proud of him.
How does that get set up? You living with Julian Edelman? Does the team do that? Did you just meet him on the practice field? How does that come about?
No, the team set that up. I don't. Yeah, I didn't have any say in it.
Yeah.
I don't think he had any say in it. But it was obviously it was something that I would never forget because you see what he's doing today, and I tell people all the time, yeah, that was my roommate.
Yeah. How how hard is it logistically when you're bouncing around from team to team or organization to organization, you're not sure how long you're going to be in one place for to have living arrangements? Does the team find you a month to month lease all the time? Are you paying for a year? You're locked in no matter what? What happens?
Yeah, the team does a good job of hooking you up. So I can have no complaints. They always took care of me. Um, whether it was Nancy in the front office,
Hmm.
Miss Nancy, I love her. Actually still talk to her to this day, just say hello, and she checks on my family and stuff like that. So, I mean, needless to say, the Patriots organization is top notch. Out of all the organizations I played for, they are definitely my favorite.
What was your experience like with Tom Brady? You talk about the funny story, you and him on the side, but what was it like seeing him every day in practice up close?
For me, it was a kind of a dream come true because for some reason, and I couldn't, I have no reason why, but Tom Brady and Randy Moss, for some reason, were like my biggest fans.
Hmm.
No lie, like they can be on, like some of the guys that the third and fourth string guys, they at the end of practice, while the starters and all of them are doing their conditioning on the other side, uh, the threes and fours are actually redoing the team segment of
Yep.
the day. And I'll make a play. And I just remember just scoring a touchdown off of a deep post. And I just remember Randy Moss and Tom Brady just screaming, "Okay, Ortiz, I see you. I see." And they're like way over there. I'm like, I'm running back, feeling all good because they're, celebrating me. And same in the I remember in one of the film sessions, I had done something well. Bill Belichick, he always brought up the good and the bad of either games or practices and whatnot. And for some reason, he brought up my play, and he just was rewinding
Hmm.
it, and I had made a big key block, and and again, Tom Brady, Randy Moss, they're screaming my name in the meeting room. So, to me, it was a dream come true, and then, being able to go into like just when there's no team stuff and you're just getting your individual work, just working on things. That was fun too with Tom and Randy Moss, because they would be together and then Randy would be like, "Come on, all right, you know,
how
I'm ready."
how harsh are those film sessions with Bill Belichick? We've heard the stories that he's hard on Brady, he's hard on everybody. Not everybody can play for him. What is it like to be in a film session with Bill Belichick?
I actually enjoyed it because, like you said, he doesn't play no favorites. Everybody can get it,
Yeah.
um, and but it keeps you accountable. We called it Bill's YouTube. You don't want to be on Bill's YouTube because I mean, unless it's something good,
Yeah.
But like I said, when I was on there and it was good, it felt good. And then not only that, um, him calling out guys like Tom Brady and Randy Moss and people like that, it just shows you that he has a standard, and expectations, and you got to live up to those standards and expectations. And I think that's why Patriots are so successful.
When you get to New England, do they give you like a manual on what you can and can't say to the media? Because everybody seems to pick it up very, very quickly as to what you can and cannot say. Is that something that is that handed out on your first day of orientation or what?
No, actually, it's every meeting.
Ah,
It's almost like all right, this is what we're gonna say. This is what you don't say. You don't talk about anybody else's injuries. It's pretty much,
hmm,
he kind of gives you a summary of what you can and can't talk about. And if you look at everybody's all the Patriots interviews, you see that everybody's pretty much saying the same thing, maybe
yeah.
in slightly a different way.
Is Bill Belichick a nice guy? Because I hear these stories about how he's actually a great guy, how he does this, how he does that, how he's pretty funny, actually. Did you see that side of Bill?
Absolutely. He's he's not the same guy you see in front of cameras. Um, he does have that dry, but he it's funny because he's like, the super dad joke type guy. Like he's gonna say something, and it's funny because it's coming from him. If
Yeah.
anybody else said it, it'd be like that's corny. But
Yeah.
because Bill Belichick said it, it actually is funny because you don't expect it from him. Um, yeah, so I think he's hilarious. And the funny part is when they brought me back, I was eating and Belichick comes in, and I don't know if anybody's ever done this to him before, but I literally ran up to him and gave him a hug and said, "Thank you for bringing me back." And he just looked at me and smiled, and he just like, "Welcome back," and kept it moving. But it was dope.
What's the conversation like when you're let go from a team? I've always wondered that. How does that go? Does it come from your agent only via phone call? Does Belichick or any other coach call you in personally and talk with you? What's that process like?
Uh, well, it happened to me a few times. So with him, he actually the last time he released me, it was after we had lost in the first round to the Ravens, and
Yep.
then he just brought me in and he's like, "We're not going to re-sign you." He just told me straight up, "We're not going to re-sign you." And this I knew I wasn't coming back because usually they say, or he would say, or like Scott Pioli, the first time they let me go, he was like, "We're gonna waive you." He's like, "But we potentially are gonna bring you back."
Yeah.
And so he told me that, and then I had been cut and signed by them a few times, and one time they let me go, and I'm going and saying goodbye to some of the other players, and Randy Moss straight up told me, "You'll be back."
Mm.
Like, oh, okay. And then so it's been different. I think one time this was right before, this was 2009. I had went through summer with them, and then they right the day before I'm supposed to go to camp, Nick Casario, he was like
Yeah.
the director of operations or whatever, and he calls me. He's like, "Yeah, we had something happen, and basically we're gonna let you go." And I was like, "What?" I was actually we're getting like I was training at that moment, and I saw
Wow.
a call, and I saw the was it 508 area code or something?
617 or 508 maybe too,
No,
but
508.
617 for
Yeah, I
sure.
think it's 508. I saw that 508 number. I'm like, "Oh shoot!" So I answered it during my workout. Usually I don't answer those, and sure enough, he was like, "We're not. We're gonna let you go." But then they ended up bringing me back 2 weeks later, or two, yeah, a few weeks later. Um, but you know, it's happened to me all different ways.
When did you know that it wasn't worth it anymore to keep going? Or when did you know that you were done? When did you decide it was enough?
Bill Belichick said, "We're not resigning you," and I knew I wasn't going back there. No, I'm kidding. um, Honestly, it was actually right after Bill Belichick let me go, right? And then for some reason I don't even remember how this happened, but I had an audition. I got an audition for this role. It was a Reliant Energy commercial, and wanted a receiver, and I booked it, right? And after I did that, and I was like, I can make how much money? And I
Yeah.
could do this for what? And so I was like, man, I told my agent, look, if I don't um if I don't sign with the team by this date, and I don't remember what date that was, but I was just like, I'm done. Because like literally it was like a domino effect. I hit that commercial, the next one, the next one, the next one. Like I just kept booking commercials. So I was just like, I'll just do this, like it was like kind of that crutch I needed to kind of walk away in a way.
Well, you also were on a reality TV show, something called Expedition Impossible, which I've done a lot of research on for this interview. But I want your summary of this show because I got to be honest with you, it was only lasted one season. I had never heard of it until I did the research.
Yeah. So it lasted one season. It was Mark Brunell. He it was like a survivor
Yeah.
meets Amazing Race. Basically,
Okay.
is what it was. Minus the like Amazing Race, I guess their contestants really literally do stay in 5-star resorts, and we were literally sleeping in tents all over Morocco.
Yeah.
Basically, how it came about is Akbar Bajbi Miller, who is now the host of American Ninja Warrior. I played with him at San Diego State and with the Chargers, and another one of our teammates from San Diego State who also played in the NFL, Ricky Sharp. Basically, he had done this audition for Oprah. It was like
Hmm.
to host your own show or something like that, and he didn't get it, but he made the top 10. And whoever was doing the casting remembered him when they were casting for this show. And so he said basically he wanted the two guys that he remembered had the most endurance and can run and the hardest workers. And I guess that was me and Ricky. But we had the opportunity to go to Morocco, and we were there for a whole month. We had to sacrifice our devices and
Hmm.
computers and our families for a whole month. We had no communication. We were literally like off the grid. And we I mean, they made it look like we trekked across the whole Morocco,
Yeah.
land, but we did trek. We had some long hikes, but yeah, it was cool. I mean, we got to see the country the way probably nobody has ever seen it before. We started off in the desert, like Sahara Desert, like
Hmm.
like when you see on the movies and those big sand dunes, and there's just miles and miles of sand, and you don't see anything.
Yeah.
That's where we started,
Wow.
and then it transitioned to like mountain ranges with snow, and then we were in rivers, we were kayaking, we were doing things that I would have never done in my
Hmm.
entire life. I'm not a thrill seeking kind of guy, but when the competition and adrenaline's rushing, you just like, all right, jump off the cliff. And I'm like, what? Like, okay, let's do it. Zip lining, rappelling off of like 400, 500-foot cliffs. It was fun.
What was how did you win? Because as I recall, they had like little pods set up. It was the former football players against like the accountants, against these people, against that people. So how did you win the game?
Yeah, so basically, um, they started off with 13 teams, and it was 10 episodes, and every episode, a team would get eliminated. So basically, the last team to make it into the checkpoint would
Yep.
get eliminated. So there was a couple of times we were in last, and we had to like come back, and we made it, and we pretty much stayed like third and fourth the entire time, and we made it to the finale. And you can go and watch it on Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually a fun show. I'm surprised, like they were actually doing a second season, and I don't know why it didn't do so well. But we were actually the top show that summer. It was during the summer, and for some reason it
Hmm.
just didn't go to the next season. But I had so much fun. I bought it on Amazon so I could watch it, and I showed my kids because they weren't alive back then, and they were all excited. They're every episode they're like, "Come on, Daddy, let's go!" Yeah, so it was fun though, and how you won is basically be the first, make it to the finale, and then be the first team to cross that finish line.
So reality TV, you also got the DJ stuff, acting in commercials. So you're doing all the entertainment stuff. You are also, if I remember, aren't you also the DJ at the San Diego State football games?
Yeah, that came about a few years ago. One of my good longtime friends, Patsy Aleda, she basically allowed me to, or she's like, what happened? Oh, she went to, they played an away game, and she saw that they had a DJ at one of the away games. I think it was either Penn State or North Carolina or something like
Hmm.
that. But basically, she said it was so much fun because the DJ was just going, and she had never experienced something like that. So she proposed it to some of the higher ups, and since I'm former Aztec, it was
Yeah.
only right that I be the DJ.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been doing that pretty much for the last 4 or 5 years, and unfortunately they canceled their season this year, so won't be doing it this season. But Hopefully next season we'll be back on track, and we're supposed to be getting a new stadium for San Diego State. So they just did the groundbreaking a couple of weeks ago. So it'd be cool if if that happened next season.
More famous San Diego State alum, Marshall Faulk or Kawhi Leonard?
Whew, man. I mean, I would say Marshall Faulk. Any football player would say Marshall Faulk, but right now Kawhi, because he's now he's the now.
Yeah.
Right now, I think a lot more people know him. I'd say worldwide, probably a lot more people know him.
We need to get you to be the DJ at San Diego State baseball. I see you could. I picture you being good for every batter's walk-up song. That's what football is lacking, is a walk-up song for every guy. So we need to get you at Aztec baseball too.
Sure, I'm down. I did the basketball games too. That was fun.
Oh, see, that I can see being not more fun than football, but I feel like you just get more action. You would get more play time in basketball than football.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated, with the whole production. You need time for advertisement. Like, it's just like it's funny because they'll be like, you have the headset on and the program director's like, okay, DJ, and you're just like, oh, you got to go, and then they're like, all right, cut it, and you're like, oh, okay, cut it. So it's a little like basketball is a little it's a little rough.
I used to not be the DJ, but I used to work at University at Albany basketball games, and I was the guy throwing T-shirts into the crowd. So it was like me and the DJ playing off each other because we both had to have the hype machine going at the same time. Yep. So I know all too well about the program director in your ears and things like that. So Robert Ortiz, 2 stints with the Patriots, multiple stops in the NFL. He's doing a lot of great stuff. Bleav in San Diego State on the Bleav Podcast Network. You can check him out there. I was going to give a whole lot of takes on Cam, and I was going to talk about N'Keal Harry, but you know what? This was better than all of that. So I'll be back with another episode on Thursday. Robert, this was awesome, and we'll check you out. Bleav in San Diego State. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.